morning. Welcome, everybody. This is LoreForged, the podcast for Ashes of Creation, and we are your hosts. +1 tonight. I'm going to go with a guest first. Hey, where are you from? East side, west side, United States? Where do you do this?
Central.
Like Central. All right, we need to do this like 1999 Bulls. He hails from Central USA. He is our friend, Nyce Gaming.
Hello, gamers.
How many people do you think get a reference to the 1999
Not many.
Bulls?
Not many.
Right.
We're aging out. We are aging out. And it's not even
like early it was like early 90s Bulls.
Yeah,
honestly.
it was like 93.
Oh man, 99.
99 Bulls might have been Jordan.
Jordan was Wizards then, wasn't he?
The Wizard. Nobody wants the Wizards. Come on. Nobody wants the Jordan Wizards.
That's true. That's true.
There's ever a time where you want to make Cash shut up? Talk about sports.
Talk about sports. Your lack of knowledge about sports is truly one of my favorite things because it is so in defiance with everything else about you that you know so little about just generally what was happening in the world of sports in the entirety of your lifetime.
I would say probably the genre of sports that I know the most of is like 90s baseball. So
really?
Like the Don Mattingly years, the Mike Scioscia years, like when he was playing, not coaching.
Like John Kruk, like the Phillies, that era?
Yes, but even more so, to further be in a niche within a niche, which I know has been a thing in our community lately, that term, West Coast baseball.
Okay, so now I'm dialing it. So I can't talk about the Blue Jays and Joe Carter and the home run for the world. So I got to find a team that was relevant on the West Coast in the 90s.
You got to talk Kirk Gibson's game-winning World Series.
That's pretty much it.
Yes. Yes. But that was just a time when I was playing baseball and I was really into baseball. And then, I got into my career. So all that stuff went by the wayside and I had to focus elsewhere. But yeah. And then I never got back into it. So there's that. Now it's just sports ball.
So you heard Sonny. Hey, Cash is here.
Cash is here.
He is here.
Here's the funny thing about Cash this week. I should not have done a Yellowstone-sized pour.
Oh, wow.
Today was detox day because I literally drove home this morning from a work conference that I was at for the last 3 days. And as you know, at work conferences, you tend to drink way too much. And I did. So there's that. I was doing some adulting and a lot of having funning. So
a lot of whiskeying.
How else do you get through it?
How else do you get through it? But I will say this was 95 degrees where I was, and the weather was absolutely gorgeous outside. So
that's awesome.
We did a lot of pool time. Yeah.
Jealous.
That doesn't make any sense to me. You said 95 degrees and gorgeous in the same sentence.
I didn't see that coming either.
I was in a pool with a drink.
Okay, yeah. There you go.
So it was epic. We had a good time.
Well, gentlemen, welcome, or gentlemen, wow, everyone, welcome in. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Nice. I just want to jump right in because there's a lot of dialogue that we have with you, and really, I'll be honest, I look forward to this interview, but I really also want to hear what you have to say about the roundtable discussion we're doing tonight. And so I just kind of want to jump right in, man. So when it comes to content creation, like what's your history with creating? How did you get started? Like, what did that look like for you?
If I had to go back like really far, like sub 100 subs, I started my YouTube channel literally just so I have a place to post my ESO clips for friends to view. Like, oh, look at this cool moment that happened, like send them the link. And it was just that. And then after a while, I was like, you know what? I'm going to just start posting ESO content. Got some cool moments that got seen by some people that helped me share it. And my channel just started to take off with the Elder Scrolls Online, PvP, outnumbered PvP. And that's pretty much where I was. And then when Elden Ring came out, it was my first Souls game. Like I never played any Dark Souls or anything like that. And I just started doing Elden Ring content, started doing guides, PvP, got good at that game. And then eventually, I think Elder Scrolls Online has always been like my home. I eventually always come back and, dip in there. And then New World, I did not play New World at launch. I got into it around the Brimstone Sands DLC and got on that a little bit late, but then I started doing New World content for a little while. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then, of course, eventually started covering Ashes of Creation once I found that interest as well.
Man, you've been around. That's cool.
Let me jump in here just real quick about ESO. I know that you were an ESO fan like for a long time, and like that's where we I would say we started like our most professional stuff. I think was when was during those years in ESO. That's when we were doing our Lore Seekers podcast, and I still to this day miss Cyrodiil PvP. Like that was so much fun for me just because of how big that world actually was, and like that area actually was. There were quests in that area. It was really a lot of fun. Now I wish like that was the actual map of the game and it was just open world PvP. I think would be super sick. But I love the fact that you still go back and you dabble in PvP just to kind of get your fix a little bit. I think it's super cool. ESO is a good spot, man.
Yeah, like that's just like always been my thing. PvPing at a high level in multiple games, like outnumbered PvP is just something about it for me. Like I love fighting against the odds. Like there's just one of me and there's 3 of you, and yet somehow I came out on top. Like I like that challenge. I like having a little challenge. So obviously group play and everything like that's all fun too. But yeah, that's just always been my content. I think for each game that I covered, like even with New World, is pretty much the same thing before I stopped playing that recently.
That's awesome.
I think you might be like introducing a foreign concept to the 3 of us here when you said like there was 1 of you and 3 of them and somehow you came out on top. Like we're looking at you like I don't understand. Can you elaborate a little further on this?
Yeah, don't they call that like PVZ or something like that?
It's just something weird.
Good old 1VX. Good
1VX. Yep.
That math doesn't turn out.
That's it.
So I got a question for you. I actually had a follow-up on that. Just like, how did you avoid getting into New World at launch? Isn't that when everybody played New World?
I am so glad I avoided that. So I looked at it on launch, and this is hilarious because there's a couple games like this. I think everyone in chat will probably have a story like this, but I looked at it from the outside and I was like, ew, like that looks horrible. It looks slow. It looks clunky. Ew, look at that combat. How could you? Like I was just like, I'm never touching that. Like, because, until you get your hands on something, say, it's not as bad as it looks, but it looked horrible. So I didn't touch it for a while. And with the fresh start servers of Brimstone Sands, I was like, okay, I'll get that a try. Did I have my current gaming PC when that even came out? I think I did. I think I just avoided it. I just avoided it. And I don't think I heard too many good things. Like I had a lot of people I knew via Discord jumping on the game, but it was just like, nah. Then yeah, once they had their fresh starts and everything, I decided to jump in.
So how did you get into the Ashes of Creation space then?
So Ashes of Creation, I've always loosely followed it. Like I would say even during Alpha 1, I wasn't paying too much attention. I was just like, yeah, I'll wait till I see a little bit more. This doesn't look like it's for me. And then I think like most people, it was probably a Lazy Peon video that really like let me see the systems of the game. I'm like, this is on my radar. But even then, I never bought my Alpha 2 key. I was just like, that's a lot of money. That's quite the investment. And I'm not even sure if this is for me, even as good as it sounds. And time went by and I just kept getting videos suggested. I think it was another Lazy Peon update. And I was just like, okay, that looks really cool. I can get behind that. Even at that point, it wasn't like, oh, I'll do content for it. It was more like, I'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully it comes out soon. And then I was just inspired. I was just literally inspired. I think when I knew, or rather what the turning point for me, because to me, combat is the most important thing. Like you could launch a beta or alpha or whatever with nothing else. You don't have your lore together. You don't have your content together. All the quests aren't there, but I want to see good combat. And I traditionally go for action combat MMOs. I'll dabble in tab or whatever, but combat's the most important thing. And when I saw that melee weapon showcase, the first preview of the fighter, when they're on that island on the coast side, I love that. It's still one of my favorite showcases to this day. Even though this previous fighter showcase was, I mean, better, obviously. I mean, that's a hard act to compare anything with. I loved it. But that first Melee showcase, listen to the direction that they want to go with the game, and seeing that combat and the action camera and everything like that, I was like, yeah, this is the one. And it just looked so visually beautiful, the Unreal Engine 5. And yeah, eventually I was like, okay, I'm really into this. I'm passionate about it. I want to start talking about this. And so I did a couple of videos, and then now somehow I done made 145 videos about a game that's not even out yet. I'm saying, I promise I'm saying.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we definitely feel your pain on that one. And I think we've talked about it before, but you mentioned Lazy Peon. I know we were talking about some of Peon's videos before the show. And I swear they need to make a god after Lazy Peon, or put some kind of just this ornate statue where there's this story that's told about Peon, because I would venture to guess, if somebody were to do a Google survey, I bet 50% of the people who are watching Ashes now, maybe even making content for Ashes, came to the project because of Lazy Peon's video. And I remember Jibs is the one that sent me that video, like right off the bat. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. Like, this thing looks amazing.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No, not at all.
You're 35 years old, bro.
It's an old 35.
Take some ginkgo biloba and remember things.
Are you accusing him of having like short-term memory loss? Is that what's going on here?
Yes.
Oh, gosh, that's funny.
Okay.
Yeah, the amount of exposure from that video. I mean, imagine what that guy's referral codes look like.
Oh, yeah, you're not kidding, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yep. Well, I mean, like, the guy's a juggernaut. Yeah, like, it may take him a good, 3 weeks to a month to get a video out, but like we were talking about before the show, he puts a video out and they're bangers. Like, they're just fantastic videos. So yeah, he's such a great content creator.
I would also like to say, aside from that, Nodes 1 and Nodes 2 were the thing. They were.
Oh
the
yeah.
thing. Like those, I want to see more like that kind of marketing from Intrepid. I don't know how you would do it, but I hope we get a Node story one day. But those two videos in itself, just really inspirational.
They're fantastic. Really well done. I still go back and watch them to this day, just because like the feel of them. Like, I don't think it was ever done in any other video that they've made like in that style. So yeah, they're great.
Yeah, even to this day, every single time that we go back and make a video and we're talking about nodes, we still go back. I always go back to node video 1 and take some of that B-roll from that, because it's amazing. It's really good footage. Okay, so speaking of content creation, the next question, it kind of covers a bit about where your particular flavor lies. And like, you're absolutely no newbie to content creation. I mean, even if you even go back to the Elden Ring stuff, and like we heard that you had gone a lot even before that. So, I mean, for at least a couple years making videos on Ashes of Creation, in relation to not just your content creation, but an Ashes of Creation itself, what do you think would be one of your favorite memories in regards to Ashes development?
Ooh. Favorite memories, I would probably have to say, I don't want to say the melee weapon showcase again, like seeing where they were going with the combat. I'm going to go with perhaps, this one's a stretch, but for me, it was like a big deal to see. I would probably say that UE5 showcase. I think that's the first one when they premiered the UE5, where I think it was a mage, like in some snowy area. And the dynamic seasons showcase, like showing how the world will be transforming, the seasons, the weather changing, when he's playing the Vec in that field, and the super time lapse. I think seeing that tech at play and just seeing the visuals, the graphics, like, I think those two were like, wow, this is going to be something special. And it's so simple, but you could just see like, this is going to be something special. I think that was probably a good turn point. I could probably think of some more. I would say that was the one for me, though, as far as what I can think of right now. Yeah.
Those are good choices. I mean, the weather changing is just insane. Still to this, again, to this day, like it holds well. It's really good videos.
I think the thing that kicks it for me in that, and with you mentioning that video in particular, when I remember when I watched it, I got the sense of not just, okay, like, cool, they're moving to UE5. But what that did to me is it was such a big change, and it absolutely pushed their development back. Like, absolutely did.
Oh, yeah.
You can't make a change from, a graphical engine like that and take all the assets that you've done. And even though it was probably as seamless as a change as it could be for developers, I don't know. I'm not a developer. I don't write code, and I don't make games. But that pushed their development back. So what it did, where the cylinder it really hit on for me, is the fact that if they're willing to make that big of a change and push their game back, they are not kidding when they're saying the game's going to be done when it's done, and we're going to do it right. That's what it did for me when I saw that change. So I was super excited about that too. And that's another video that we pull from all the time because it's just gorgeous.
Really is. Yeah, I'm with you. It shows like they know how important a first impression is. Like they're you guys are gonna wait, you're gonna get impatient, you're gonna scream scam, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this. But when you get your hands on this final product, you're not going to be filled with regret. You're not going to get New Worlds launch. You're not going to have to do a reboot like Final Fantasy 14. You're going to get something special, and everyone in the MMO genre has been waiting for that next big thing, and it gets hard. It gets hard for a lot of people. It gets hard for a lot of us waiting and waiting and waiting. So I guess that's why it's good that we have this open development process to see month to month what we're waiting on and the steps they're making towards that. But I think it's fair to say that, yeah, you might wait a while, but when you get it, you're not going to be satisfied. Nothing sucks more than waiting for something for a long time, having to wait and it be bad. If we go sit down at a restaurant and Jibs orders wings, you order the steak, Sonny orders the
salad,
a chef salad, a manly salad,
Yes.
But
some blue cheese on there.
Some manly blue cheese.
Manly blue cheese, though.
And then, but that
Yellowstone pour of blue cheese.
Let's say the service sucks. Let's say the service sucks in this restaurant, right? And we're waiting a long time. I'm talking like ridiculous. Like we already, let's say an hour and 20 minutes, we have not got our food. But that food comes out and Sonny has the most amazing salad. The dressing is amazing. They pick the lettuce from like behind the building. Like it's super fresh. Everything's perfect. Your steak is cooked. Even though you like your steaks well done and we don't judge you, the steak is good. But when it comes to his fish, it's just like ew. Like the scale's still on it. It stinks. The smell fills up the restaurant. It's bad. It's like we all got amazing meals. And it was amazing. Like, okay, that took a long time. The service sucks, but man, this food was well worth it. But if he gets fish, it's like, and you want your money back, you're like, really? This is what we waited for? This is my whole night? You're going to be pissed. So I think we rather wait for that really good meal than to wait and get something bad.
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, it's worth the wait. And it's weird. It's fun actually creating in this space. And I know you experience this too, where right now it's the diehards, like those that are following the development of this game, basically with like a fine-tooth comb, going through everything, every single update, everything on the wiki. It still blows our minds how many people know so much more about this game than we could probably ever dream to remember. Like
yeah,
people just read those wikis like crazy.
Yeah, and that's one thing I'll never say I know everything about this game. Oh, I've been following it since Steven was playing it on a tabletop campaign. And I read, it's something I always say, I don't read the wiki to my kids when I tuck them in at night. I am no expert. Like I obviously I know enough to do content and have a conversation, most things, but you're not going to see me on a pedestal. Like one thing I will never be with AshesOfCreation is the Actually, I don't want to be that guy. Per this wiki quote by Steven in 2018, technically you're wrong. Like, okay, buddy. Okay, good job.
I think we're there too. We're absolutely there too, and we make no secret about it. Like, we're not experts in this game. We have folks in our chat right now that will blow us away with the amount of game knowledge that they know compared to us. But that's okay. Like, we're learning as we go. We're learning as we do every show, as we talk about every topic, as we do our own research, and we're learning from our community, honestly. And I think all content creators do. It's just one of those things where that wiki is so vast and so full of those moments where Steven said something at, as he was walking into the restroom to wash his hands in, 2016. That we're not going to know those little tiny details. So it's, once we all get into the game, we're playing the game, we're comfortable with the game, and we've been doing it for 2 years. That's when you become an expert of said game. Things are going to change.
Yes, I don't like holding on to some random, like I was just saying, the Steven quote from 2018 about this very specific niche system. It's like, we're, like you said, when a game is out, we're going to know what we know.
Well, we did get an opportunity to learn quite a bit about some of the details of the game on an AMA that you were lucky enough to be on. I was one of 3 that was lucky enough to be on, and it was super cool to meet some of the content creators behind the scenes, such as yourself. Now, in honor of your fantastic performance, I'm supposed to ask you one question, but I'm going to ask you 2. So, how did you get your questions for the AMA, and which was your favorite one that you did ask?
So the ones that I presented was community polled. Like, I was super transparent. I said, hey, what are some questions you guys want to see? And I think I said, all right, 1 and 2 is going to be selfish, nice. This is stuff that I want to know. This is my interest. This is, and even with the personal questions that I really wanted to ask, which one was the weapon list. I'm like, that one I'm not taking off. I took it off temporarily, then I ended up putting it back. Some things I just wanted to know, but like most questions came from the community, or at least were inspired by the community. So yeah, I think that's pretty much how I came with mine. I kind of have a list of like a lot of questions that I would ask Steven in a one-on-one scenario, but those questions aren't all AMA friendly. Like, it's like, okay, I get 5 questions. Everyone wants you to pull every little bit of information. We need something. We're thirsting for knowledge about this game. So they're not all AMA worthy, if that makes sense. So, I had to kind of go back to the drawing board. So yeah. As far as my favorite one, I would have to say it was, weirdly enough, information that we kind of already knew, but I love Steven's answer to it. And it's something that I just kind of want to hear his take on it. It was a question about risk versus reward being involved in every system. And what was it? It was with risk versus reward being involved with every system. How do we go about preventing the game becoming like a Zerg fest? So you have risk versus reward with everything, like player deaths. Even if it's just a pure PvE death, you're going to incur death penalties. And what the effect of that, in my mind, is that you're going to just cause people to try to minimize said risk by zerging up, grouping up in groups of like 20, attacking this world boss, trivializing the content. And, so how do you go about that? I even did a video dedicated to the MMO Zerg problem, because I've seen how it like trivialized content in a couple of different games. But anyways, I kind of feel like I knew where he was going to go with, but I'm glad I asked it. And he pretty much said something that, rewards are finite, and you can Zerg the world boss, and they have all these measures in place, like, oh, if there's a lot of people there, it's going to do more AoEs, or if you killed the previous boss in that dungeon too fast, this one's going to scale harder. No matter what you do with mechanics like that, in my head, nothing's gonna be able to accommodate. There's no difficulty scaling that's gonna accommodate for 20 players on this world boss or however many people you're gonna fit in that dungeon. So what I wanted, my cats are fighting behind me.
On the world map?
They are.
Bro, I legit heard that, and mine's in my lap. I looked down at him like, bro, I'm recording.
Chill out.
Some risk versus reward going on over there. All right. But what I did, like, I liked his answer to that. He said that, the world, I think that's I could be wrong. I apologize, but I think that's the answer where he was like, you build the world through PvE, you change it through PvP.
Yeah.
But either way, I just loved his response to that. Basically reiterating that, hey, the rewards are finite. You can zerg this world boss down, but hey, there's limited reward. Only one person's going to get that legendary drop. And then either you guys sit there and take turns or, y'all get to PKing each other. Well, PvPing each other. So.
Yeah, that's a really interesting philosophy, right? Like to basically say like, no, we're not going to adjust this thing. If you want to take all the people in your guild to go over here and do this thing, that's fine. But he's going to drop what he's going to drop.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. Do you think that is enough of a solution for you? Like, is that actually the remedy for this? Because couldn't you just see like just a guild sitting on these things? And is that the invitation for another guild to then come over and take him out? Is that what he's saying? Like, this is the solution?
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think we got. And it's a good answer. It's a good logic. It's a good mindset, good approach, good perspective. I would just like to see, basically, I don't want my first time walking up to, let's say, Tumok. I don't want that experience, because that's going to be a memory we hold on to forever, right? Your first everything in Ashes is going to be big. I don't want my first memory of Tumok being Tumok getting 50v1'd and dies so quick that I never get to see his mechanics.
Yeah.
We don't even get to see bro go through the phase where he picks up the log and uses it as a weapon because he's just getting 50v1 by every mage on the server. And I think that's something important to consider. I want to see the mechanics. I would like to see, and they've talked about difficulty scaling, but I would like to see, like, all right, it's this amount of people within X amount of meters. I have this much more mitigation now. I have this much more attack power now because of all the people surrounded. I would like to see a simple math equation, more people, more difficulty. But I think the concept of finite rewards does, in a way, solve itself. But like you said, Sonny, it's going to lead to more world zerging and guild just camping this finite resource. And I mean, hey, we got the power to change it. So there's that. Maybe that's intentionally the beginning of conflict right there.
Could be. Yeah.
I think that is going to be something that people are going to have to be ready for right off the bat, because you're right. Everybody wants that experience. And it's funny because as soon as you said the Tumok thing, it absolutely reminded me of my first experience killing Hogger, where I died like 2 or 3 times trying to kill Hogger, right? Hogger from World of Warcraft. Anybody? Am I the only one? Okay, it's no problem.
Hogger fan.
But
Yeah. Do you want me to interrupt you? Yes, we all know.
Yes, we love Hogger.
okay.
Stop what you're doing. Let's talk about Hogger.
People say things because they want feedback. So anyway,
We're giving you the feedback.
Give him his affirmation.
Love Hogger.
that was forced feedback.
Force love.
But in a lot of ways, I think people have to be ready for that to happen. I mean, that could absolutely be a thing. If people are playing at prime time and this is the first time that you're killing Tumok, everybody is going to hunt down Tumok. Everybody's going to see Tumok trudging through the Riverlands on, pretty early in the game. So that's going to be the boss that everybody's going to go after. Every guild in the zone is going to make that an event and kill him. So you kind of, in some ways, have to be ready to have a little bit of that experience ruined. But the fact that you said that alone, that you want to be able to take the time and play through that content right, like, and see the mechanics, like, that makes me super happy to hear that from other players, and especially players who aren't just total dorks like us who I want to know like where Tumok came from. I know he came from Sujoma. I know that. Thank you. But I want to know like his story. I want to know like where does he patrol? I want to follow him for a little while before I get my friends and kill him. And so it's I just think that it's I think it's a really cool thing.
Out of context.
I want to stalk him before I kill him.
That's right.
Oh, it's important. I'm a total giant stalker. But
I don't know, like with the limited rewards and like the guilds that are then going to have to fight, in my mind, I just picture Tumok sitting on a stump and like looking out here at all of these people in this killing field attacking each other, and him just like, what in the hell is this?
You guys stupid. What you doing?
We're going to have sympathy for the world bosses is all I'm going to say. No matter what their backstory is, because they are going to get zerged.
The world bosses are absolutely just going to be a target. They're going to be a hot zone for PvP activity. That's what they're going to be. It's a draw.
Yes.
Which is, I mean, is that okay? Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
You're playing a PvX game. This stuff is going to happen. They put the mechanics in place so that you have these funnels, these venturis that are going to just pull you into these areas where these conflicts are going to take place. That is what they're doing, giving us the tools so we can make our own content. And I think that is a very beautiful thing.
I have a very specific memory when I played New World this previous winter, and there was a winter event going on, and this event dropped obviously event-specific limited time things that people were farming, some materials that would typically take you a long time to get, long story short. And the way this event worked is like Yetis spawn in various places of the map. Everyone would fast travel there, and oh man, I don't know how my PC held up. I don't know how I wasn't dropping frames every second. But there's just like 60 people destroying this thing, and it was not a challenge. It was just like, hey, make sure you get enough hits on this thing so that you count towards that loot pool.
Yeah.
Well, the event lasted about, I don't know, let's just say it lasted around 3 weeks. And I was a little behind. I wasn't logging in as much. And during that last week, guess what? Not a lot of people were doing it because everyone had already got the reward. It's already been out long enough. I didn't, and probably 5 other people. So I fast travel. I'm the only one there. I know I can't solo this thing. So I just wait. I wait. And eventually 4 other people showed up. When I tell you, and I'm a tank character, so I got a little damage, but I was on my tank, and so I pulled everything, and I held aggro on this world boss by myself, which was a challenge in itself. And I'm the only one tanking and taunting and grabbing the threat from the little mobs that it spawns. And I had these 5 DPS, and that world boss's health was not moving because it's only 5 DPS. You remember, I'm used to seeing this thing getting decimated in like less than a minute. But I saw mechanics that I didn't know this thing had. I saw strategies that I had to use that I didn't know I would ever need to. And I was like, oh, the developers put time into this apparently. Like there's mechanics, there's things I'm supposed to do. Like I had to like use a potion to heal. What is this? And it was the most fun. I think over the course of that fight, we only got up to about 9 people in the area, and I was the only tank. And I knew that, like, that made me feel good. Like I'm the only one keeping aggro off of all these randoms, and it was the most difficult fight. I literally still have it clipped on my computer. It's probably the only PvE fun thing I have clipped on my computer. But anyways, long story short, that fight to me was such an epic moment, and it was so fun and challenging. I was like, yes. And it was long too, by the way. Did I mention that? It was about probably 20 minutes. But it was a fun, epic fight, and you wouldn't get that with 60 people. I didn't get that for 2 weeks with 60 people destroying this thing. So that tells you enough.
I have a crazy thought. What would your thoughts be if with some of these world bosses, because we know that they're going to get zerged for sure, that maybe the first 20 people that tap it when it's pulled are the ones that actually do damage to it and reap rewards from it. Everybody else after that 20, if they zerg it, so you can't have 40 or 50 people from a guild that just and it's dead and there's the loot. It's a thought. It's a question. I know it probably could be,
it'll be hard to accommodate that because people that die over the course of the fight, do they get out of the loot pool? Do they get back in the loot pool once they're resurrected? Accounting for PVX things, if the boss fights while a guild v guild thing is happening, like another guild approaches while this group of 10 approaches while this group of 15 comes, and they're fighting each other and the boss at the same time in a PVX scenario. The loot pool issue is so hard to solve. It is. I did one video a long time ago, and I can't take credit for the original idea, but my buddy I do the voices of Vera with, Is There No One Else? He came up with an idea that I was like, oh, you know what? There you go. Because how does the tank get into that loot pool? How does the healer get into that loot pool, right?
Right.
Ashes, during the event stream, they was talking like, as long as it's a time-based duration thing in the current version of the game. And that seems kind of eh. So what he proposed and what I elaborated on was, what if you did the world boss loot table based off threat gained? Threat is something that everyone do. Damage dealers, they obviously accumulate in threat. But the cool thing about Ashes of Creation is that while you're healing, you're generating threat. And obviously the tank is generating threat, right? So that's one way to do it. Is it foolproof? Is it going to be fair? Is it going to be the solution? I don't know. I don't think so. But I think that's better than just like, all right, first attack. All right, who did the most damage? All right, what we have right now. Maybe it could be a combination of them all. But yeah, I don't know how to solve it for the most part.
But that was a fantastic answer, and that wasn't actually my question. That was just like a follow-up to the follow-up of the conversation. So thank you for answering that, because you clearly do understand mechanics a lot better than some of us do. So that's why you're here. So you did mention, though, just like transitioning onto the next thing that we want to talk to you about. You did mention the Voices of Error, which I do listen to and I love, and you do that show with Is There No One Else? And so my thought is here with this question is that you cover so much about the game that it's hard sometimes to kind of nail down like any one thing about the game that you love. I do know, or one thing about the game that you're going to love, or maybe you're most excited about. I have an idea what I think your answer is going to be, but I got to throw it to you. If there's one thing that you had to pick about Ashes of Creation that you're just so excited to test in Alpha 2 and dive into when the game launches, what would that one aspect be?
As far as testing in Alpha 2 specifically, I think it's mostly going to revolve, I don't know if this counts as two things, but I'm going to say it's just going to be testing the game's, the geeky stuff, the game system, combat related math. How does penetration factor? How does what's the evasion to accuracy calculations? Penetration versus raw damage, plate armor versus light armor. How does this, all that boring stuff on the character sheet, how is it actually calculated? How do I min-max damage, et cetera, et cetera? Not over min-max it to where it takes the fun out the game and overly analyze, but just having an understanding so that you know how to build in the game. Like just testing that and testing each thing on each archetype, how they interact with each other, how they synergize. I think that's what I'm most excited to test in Alpha 2. As far as what draws me to Ashes of Creation or what I'm looking forward to the most, I would say it is meaningful PvP. And not just PvP for the sake of PvP and like, oh, I just want to attack other players, or like games that I've played like ESO, you go into Cyrodiil, it's an instance thing. It really is. It's just an instance based thing like you would get on any arena, battleground, and any other MMO. And you're fighting for the sake of fighting. You're not getting rewarded. It can't be your only gameplay loop because you're not going to get gold that way. In Ashes, I can have meaningful PvP. I can be a bounty hunter, and I feel like I'm helping people by getting rid of corrupted players. I can attack a caravan and make a profit. I can help escort a caravan, and then the guy agrees to give me some gold. I can run a protection racket and say, hey, your caravan can't cross this bridge unless you give me gold. Node wars, guild wars, kicking someone out of a dungeon that, they keep hogging all your loot, or doing inefficient ad pulls. Just having some meaning behind PvP. And I think I just spoke about this yesterday, but like, it's okay to just do something for fun in the game. Like, that's why we all game, right? We want to have fun. It's okay to have PvP just for the sake of PvPing. But if you can have your fun PvP and have some meaning behind it, I didn't even talk about the open seas, by the way, like, you know, how that's going to have, you know, pirating and I probably shouldn't say pirating, being a pirate out on the open seas, and how there's usefulness to that other than just go fight other players. Like, I'm trying to find the treasure out here. I'm trying to get those resources. I'm trying to find the Hydra that spawns in the middle, having some meaning behind it, I guess. Yeah,
I agree. Especially just as PvPers in general, it's nice knowing that we have options and it's beyond just, oh, there's a dude, his name's Red, let's go kill it. Or, you know, queue up for a rated battleground, queue up for, you know, instanced PvP. There's like your PvP has weight in the world, and it's and I don't think like as PvPers we've been able to feel that for a very long time. You know, like unless you're like in Alterac Valley or something, maybe in Warcraft, or you know, you're seeing that in Cyrodiil when you're changing the map. But I mean, like, yes, you're doing those things, but you know, everything that you just listed. I mean, when's the last time people, you know, from a sandbox perspective, have been able to, you know, like do those things, hold people up at a bridge for ransom? You know, like what, you know, like when was that ever done? So those are good points, really good points.
Cotrello called it RP PvP, which is actually pretty clever, right? I'm in. That's it, right?
That's like, going to be my thing.
Holding somebody up at a bridge and running a protection racket is RP PvP. That's what that is.
I mean, there actually is RP PvP though, and it's text-based, but it's still like really fun. Okay, I'm going to transition here because we could talk about RP. But I love that answer. I love the fact that you found yourself switching from topic to topic to topic on that answer, because that is, I think, what most people feel and are excited about with Ashes of Creation, that there's just so much that we're all excited about. It's hard to pin down just one thing. And like in particular with Alpha 2, like you have all these systems that you want to test. And so what I'm hearing is that for the most part, although there's tons of different features, like you're interested in testing the mechanics and finding that early meta. And like we all want to know that. We all want to have powerful characters. We all want to have the best builds that we possibly can. And I find it amazing that you could ask any of us a similar question and we just fall into the trap of there's so much to be excited about with this game. We're excited about it. We're excited about it all.
Mm-hmm. So, and you guys as lore focused people will know, kind of going back to what Jibs had said, when's the last time we've had that where you were fighting for something that you wanted to? Like, you load into a game, they tell you why you're attacking the enemy. They tell you why that nameplate is red. So like, oh, you chose this faction? Well, you hate that faction because they're a different faction because lore reasons, and the queen is at war, and because this happened a long time ago. And Ashes, none of that's premeditated. This is a factionless game. Like, that's big. Like, I choose my guild, and we're gonna probably have some real life stuff. This guy called this guy fat in Discord, so now, oh, you called my guild leader fat? Well, now he's mad at your guild, and we're gonna attack your node, open field. Like, that, just there's no fancy the queen commanded us reason. No, you called him fat, so now we're gonna PK you. That's lore.
That's sandbox right there, baby.
That is sandbox. That's going to be the lore that they're going to tell in the libraries forever. And hey, you never know though, that maybe they write into the lore and they get Kate Beckinsale to come in and voice some stuff. That would be amazing.
And King Johnston called him a turd.
Yes. He hath overweighteth.
And King Johnson then declared that he was slightly obese, and thus the War of Vera begun.
100-year war began.
He ate a cup of ranch a day.
Oh man, so Nyce. Where can people go to find your content? And like, do you have anything coming up that you want people to know about, or like, what do you got going on?
Nothing specific coming up. We are coming up on episode 50 of our Voices of Vera, Ashes of Creation live stream / podcast. We do every Tuesday around 7:30 Eastern. I try to get out at least one Ashes of Creation video a week. But other than that, just focusing on the live stream. I'm on YouTube at Nyce Gaming or here on Twitch at Nyce Gaming TV. And yeah, that's most of it.
That's awesome, man.
So we're going to move into the roundtable question here. And just as a preface to this, I think this question is kind of bogus because I gotta be honest with you. One part of the AMA process that Nyce and I went through was we submitted our questions first, and Margaret had the ability to vet the questions. She didn't want us to ask anything like offensive, and obviously nobody did that. But there was also some other questions that kind of got tweaked a little bit to make them, more clear. And I asked a question about solo gameplay, about the viability of solo gameplay, and Margaret's like, "Yeah, no, we don't want to ask that. It's been like kind of asked to death." And then here we are here with a roundtable solo-friendly archetypes question. So raise my yellow flag on Margaret on this one. So the question here is for you. I'm going to ask you this question specifically. Is there a situation where specific archetypes will not be solo-friendly? And to clarify, will certain classes be as viable as others during solo play? What do you think?
Okay, so I would say there is definitely going to be disparity between the archetypes when it comes to being solo friendly. Let me answer the first part. Which ones will not be? If I had to choose a specific class, just trying to assume what we know about the augment system is going to work the way we think it will, I would imagine something like a tank ranger. The sentinel isn't the most solo friendly thing, at least efficiency and time wise. I do think there will be a disparity. I don't think there's an argument that could be made. I mean, I'll listen to it, but there just is going to be archetypes that are better at soloing. Let's start off with, to me, the most obvious one is any cleric primary archetype and or secondary archetype, because assuming you get holy augments or something that heals you, let's say, I always like to say the ranger's rapid shot or whatever. If that heals me now because I chose cleric as my secondary, I think that's the soul bow. That's a big deal. That's really good for solo viability. Maybe you don't always have to have a cleric around and you're not chugging as many potions. So cleric is just being able to self-sustain is big, and you can build as a damage cleric and also have a couple of heals at the same time. I think if you're a solo player, that's the way you want to go. Next up, or maybe some people will put this in front of it, but I think next up you got the summoner. Summoner is going to be the next most viable thing. Having pets is a huge deal. I don't need to educate anybody on that. If you played any MMO or any game that allows you to have minions or pets, and the AI is coded in a way that your pets can draw aggro, taunt, they are literally portable tanks. You can literally do a group comp with pets, depending on the game, right? Guild Wars 2, I like that thing. Guild Wars 2 Necromancer / Summoner carried me. I would say that's next up. I mean, imagine a summoner with a combat pet as well. I don't mean the summoner pets. I mean, like the actual combat pets. So, like, I think that will be next. And then after that, I think the rest are just, interchangeable. But yeah, I think some archetypes are just going to be better than others. And some are going to be worse. I can't say which is worse. For some reason, I like to think tank is the least viable, but I mean, maybe being able to survive is, it takes you longer to clear the content. Maybe you got less damage than other archetypes, but you're going to be able to live solo better. So I can't really say.
That's interesting because, Cash, I know like you're looking at Ranger for your class, and I think that's going to be pretty solid for solo friendly. All that burst you got.
You're right. And I think, I agree with what you're saying there, Nyce. I truly do, because I think that there's viability in every character, but some are just inherently going to be better than others. I think every single class is going to have some kind of combination it's going to be difficult for you to solo. And I think that's the beauty in what Intrepid is doing, is they're allowing you all of these different builds and all these different combinations so you can build and spec into what works. There's absolutely going to be specs that just aren't going to work for solo. And it's no different in any other game. This isn't something that is just particular to AshesOfCreation because they have 64 potential classes. I think the viability of your character in solo play is absolutely going to depend on how you build said character. I think there's going to be some class combinations that just flat out aren't going to work. It absolutely is correct. And that is where, when you have this dichotomy of how this particular build doesn't work in solo, and like I'm really struggling, to where this one, I picked a class combination and skill combination that is really banging. That's where the meta comes in. It's like we were talking about before, right? And studying those numbers and learning stratics and knowing, even those are going to be no DPS meters, but knowing how well your character is doing based upon the build that you have, that is the meta. So there's nothing different here, folks. There's just way more choice. So one might not work. The others will. It just depends on how you spec it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the operative question that's really not being asked here is not whether or not Ashes will have classes that are all solo friendly, but whether or not Ashes should have classes that are all solo friendly. Like, why do we have to be solo friendly? Why does the experience have to be a good experience for all solo players in all classes? Sometimes that's just not the balance. And so the question about like, how is the game balanced is a very big question. Is the game balanced around solo play? If that's the case, then yes, you need to have that kind of balance between all the classes. But if it is not, if the game is balanced around the 5-person raid, or the 10-person raid, or the 40-person raid, or the large group PvP experience, or something else, then like it's very difficult to simply do both of those things, right? Like to have a balance in a large group format, PvP or PvE, and then also have the ability for each class to go out and have a good experience and even, be close to comparable or, viable, I guess, in the larger world. I don't necessarily think that that's required, and I don't necessarily think that everyone even wants that. Some people want to go out into the world and have a little bit more of a challenge. Maybe they don't want the same, experience for every single class in that solo sort of play. So that would be my response to this kind of question. It's not necessarily a nice, clear answer, but like a clarifying question, like, well, why? Right? Yep. JB, what do you think about that?
I think the part where you said like not everybody wants to go out and have an easy experience, that's me. 100%. And the reason being is, and this is not a knock on, anyone who plays like a ranger or hunter class, but like for me specifically, when I played a hunter in World of Warcraft, I became so comfortable with it and I felt very fluid with it that by the end of it, I was just mowing things over. And what I found I was missing was the challenge, like for the things I was fighting against. And that, granted, that could be a gear thing. It could be, I don't know, mob difficulty thing as well. So I don't want to discount that or the class. But to me, like I just felt like a lot of the challenge was gone for me at that point. And so eventually, yes, I switched to other classes for that reason. That being my reason specifically. So I think that's a good question. Like, does it need to be solo friendly? And when it comes to like classes, like, like you brought up cleric, that's 100% least foreseeable for me. Like what I'm going to be playing is a cleric, possibly cleric. So, that brings up the question. And they talked about that too when it was, was it the wand update? I think, maybe not, but anyway,
wand works.
Yeah. When they were talking about, how you want to spec, build out your class, like it really comes down to how you want to build it. Like they really do give you option. And so like Nyce, I don't know like where your head's at with it, but I mean, like at the end of the day, like I really think everyone has a really good amount of choice to build how they want in this game.
And something I hope Intrepid keeps building the game and balancing the game around group like they've been doing, to the point where you need that bard, you need that cleric in your group, you need to make sure that you got a tank taunt things. You don't need to cater for the solo player. As long as you keep balancing content and the game overall around groups, then a person that may want to venture solo should be challenged. Like, I love the time to kill that I saw in the commission stream where he ventured out. He looked at the commission boards. He ventured out on the mage, and I think those mobs were like a couple levels lower than him. But you see, he only was able to pull like 1 to maybe 3 tops, and it took them a while. He died at one point, so just one mob. I want to have to respect the world, and I think that's something very important. I want to go do that same fight he did, almost get get my butt kicked, and then like realize like, okay, I could probably get through this area if I kill them one at a time or whatever, but this would be a lot better if I just had a cleric with me, or if I just brought some more friends. And I think that's what the world needs to do. It's why I like Elden Ring so much. Like, I love difficulty and like having to respect every mob. Like that's big.
Yeah,
that's
well
big.
said.
Nice. The fact that it is well said. The fact that you said that like that makes me very, very happy. And I think we might end up stealing that. That's a fantastic point. I want to respect the world. Yes. And you're talking about Elden Ring, and you're right. Like, I haven't played Elden Ring, but I've watched a ton of video on the game, so I kind of understand it. You need to size up everything that you are encountering, and that's the real world. I'm sorry. If you're in a bar and somebody says some stuff and they're way bigger than you, chances of you picking a fight with said person is pretty low. You've sized them up, right?
Get your friends
that
first.
Is respecting the bar. But I absolutely love that you said that. But it does, you mentioned another thing that I think really brings, maybe our closing points here that we should, I want to get everybody's opinion on this. And Nyce, you answered this very, very well. In respect to balance absolutely has to take place. There's an ebb and flow with balance, and they're going to have to do updates on that all the time. And it's something that other games do. These are not like developers that are fresh out of school. These are developers that know what they're doing because they've worked on other games. They understand MMOs. They love MMOs. They want a good MMO. So, Sonny, I'll go to you first. What do you feel that Ashes of Creation can do, or are there anything that they could learn from their own MMO experience that could potentially make the balance issue better?
I don't know, man. I mean, I think that they really kind of set themselves in motion with the 64 class type of thing. And again, I've said this numerous times, I don't believe in the 64 class system. I believe in the 8 class system with augments. And so if you look at it that way, I think that everything about Ashes is about going back to old school MMOs. It's about going back to old school RPG games. And in an old school RPG game, they required you to have friends. You had to have friends that had different skill sets to accomplish the tasks you needed to accomplish. You needed to have a cleric. You needed to have a mage. A rogue was very handy to have around. A bard. We haven't seen bards forever, so who knows, right? Like, it'd be super cool to have them, be required for these kind of things. So I think that if you're asking me, like, what Ashes can do and what they can learn from these kind of things, it would be like, stay true to the mission, right? Stay true to the mission of trying to provide an old school MMO RPG experience. And to me, that is, you can go out into the world and you can do things by yourself, but if you want to make things happen, you're going to need friends with different skill sets. That's the basis for every good Dungeons and Dragons story that was ever made, right? It wasn't like 5 warriors went out and met at a bar and then kicked ass throughout the world and came back and went drinking. No, it was always the different classes getting together. So that's what I would say. Stay true to the mission.
Okay, I'm going to follow up with you just real quick on that. I agree with you 100% that you should, in certain encounters, have to have friends to help you up and augment your group and heal and tank and do all the things that you need to do for that holy trinity to make magic happen, right? But in the case of the solo player, do you feel that it is on Intrepid to make every class, every combination viable in solo mode? Or do you feel that some of the onus is on the player to build a proper character?
Well, it's certainly not the first part of that. I mean, that's crazy, right? Like, that's like asking a multiple choice question with an always or a never. Like, it's just not the answer, right? It's never the answer. So get rid of that. Is it on the player to do it? Or, you know, like, I guess, like, if the player wants to go out there and roll tank and then try to solo their way through the world, then good luck. So
it's going to take you 10 years longer than everybody else.
Yeah, like, you'll get there eventually. But, like, is it going to be a fun experience for you? Hell if I know. Like, probably not. But, like, it might be the best time ever for you. Like, the people that do the crazy things in Warcraft where they're like, I'm going to do a melee only hunter. Awesome. Okay.
That's my point, right? It's
like, that's on you.
Players. Yeah.
That couldn't possibly be on the developer to be like, oh, geez, we got to make sure the melee hunters are doing okay out there. Like, no, screw those guys. They're on an island. Let them have fun. That's my answer to that follow up.
I think something important to do in Ashes of Creation. And if I haven't been on the record, I'll state it again. I think I personally want to build for PvX at all times. I don't care if we got the Dungeon of Dungeons planned. I want to build for the potential of PvP to occur. So I'm going to have my PvE skills. I'm going to optimize, but I'm going to have a little something just in case we run into trouble with another guild. I don't want to be caught lacking. But to answer your question, I think in Ashes of Creation, when it comes to you want to do some wacky class, if you want to do the Ranger Summoner, and it turns out that that's not a smart or good class combination, if that's what you want to do, that's on you. And furthermore, I think when it comes to Ashes of Creation, you need to build for who you're playing with. Build for your group. You know, a tank might be needed for certain content, yeah, but do you normally run with a cleric and a bard, or do you guys not really have a bard that's always there? They don't get off work in time. Maybe you want to do tank cleric, which is maybe that's a paladin. I don't know. But that way you're tanky, but you also could provide yourself with a little bit of healing because, you know, you guys don't always have that cleric with you, or et cetera, et cetera. If you're going to go ranger tank, you know, if that's what your build is going to be, then, you know, kind of decide your active skills and your passives, your weapon procs around those around you. That's going to be the smartest way to play Ashes of Creation, I think. Is like, not necessarily choose your archetype based on what your friends are doing, even though that's pretty smart, but at least do your build and your gear and your, I guess the long story short is have a good group comp. And
everybody knows that Cleric Bob gets into the booze early, so we all got to think about our augments here.
It's just for flavor. That's it.
Okay, Bob.
Cash, can you ask that question one more time? Because I'm gonna be honest, I completely forgot it by now.
Yeah, no, that's okay. No problem. So my question really is like, what can Ashes of Creation do, or what can Intrepid have learned from other MMOs in order to make the solo experience better?
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, everything Sonny said.
Perfect. Great answer. All right.
Thumbs up.
Solo
Good night, everybody.
Mail it.
No, it's a perfect response. Everything he said. And I was watching chat and they're like, preach, Sonny. I'm like, I can't follow that. What he said, because that was right. That was perfect. I agree with Sonny wholeheartedly. Truthfully, I do. Stay true to the vision, you know, and not everything's always going to be 100% balanced. I think that that's just the way that it's probably going to end up in a lot of ways. I don't foresee that, you know, being a widespread issue, but when you have a sandbox like this for something that's so intricate and that's so massive, there's going to be things that aren't going to be balanced. There's just some things that aren't going to work out, you know, certain ways. Cash, your cat's butt is in the
I'm trying to keep the business end of that thing.
I know what's happening in 2 seconds.
Come here, Leroy.
That's so funny. Oh gosh, that's so good. But no, overall, I think just stay true to the vision and be willing to accept that not everything's always going to be balanced, because I don't think it really can be 100%, you know. But
so yeah, it's hard enough to balance group content and all. Yeah,
listen to player feedback and just get as close as you can to perfect balance, but you ain't gonna really get there.
Yeah.
Ooh, you said that dreaded term, man. perfect balance.
Yeah.
Doesn't
that's like,
exist.
Good luck.
yeah, that is the chase, right? That is
If
the
there's
chase
a
for
class system
MMOs.
involved, if there's
Yeah.
choice involved, yeah, not happening.
And then
Yeah.
you drop a tier list in there with some dumb butts freaking idea about what they think is the best, and then everybody starts
Factor in-
following that because they have a lot of followers. And
You factor in
It's just
every human has bias, and then you're just never you'll never balance anything. So
And as soon as you perfect combat with 64 classes, the economy falls apart.
like, oh yeah, economy.
And everyone complains about the game is broken.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Broken, unplayable game.
Yeah.
Can already see the thumbnails. Oh gosh. Well, Nyce. One more time, man. Where can all our listeners find all of your stuff?
Nyce Gaming on YouTube. That's spelled with a typo, NYCE Gaming. And then on Twitch, just started Twitch like October. Nyce Gaming TV. I typically multi-stream, so whichever platform. Yeah, that's where I will be.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, hey,
I'll type in chat, I guess.
Nice. Do you have
Yeah.
any like recent videos that you want to specifically plug while you're here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a video this week, pretty much about setting Alpha 2 expectations. You know what? You guys react to it. React to it. I want
us to react? All right.
I want to see 3 people react to that video simultaneously. But you got to give Sonny the control over the pause button. That's the
Oh
rules.
Lord, Lord!
Because I'm actually
You want us to do a
interested-
reaction to the? Can we do a reaction to the
We've
reaction?
never
Can
done
JB
that
react
before.
and then I'll react to JB?
Oh man, I do not have time for a reacception. No.
Yep. We're gonna do a live stream, and each of us is gonna be separate live streams, and we're gonna react to the react.
There you go.
That's right.
I think it'll be an interesting one. It's around the topic of Alpha 2 expectations and maybe subverting expectations or raising expectations. I don't know. No spoilers, but yeah, that's one I'm interested in getting some feedback on. Yeah, I want to see what you guys are expecting. So
We will definitely let you know.
Absolutely.
On my reaction, I want my thumbnail to include the word fail or scam, if I can put in a request.
Oh yeah,
Deal.
you have to put that like in big letters on the thumbnail.
Red.
I think that'd
Yeah,
be
Red
Shocked
letters.
face.
Laser
Maybe-
eyes.
there is one thing that I do want to very humbly thank you for, and that was for reaching out to do a collab with your lore video.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
super cool, man.
Very
and
cool.
I think the way that you did that video was so well done, and I appreciate that. It was very
I'm so glad you brought that up.
it was a cool nod, man. I just really appreciate that.
I'm so glad you brought that up because Cash, I'm about to attack you. So this is hilarious in the content creator space. So we did that video. I loved it, and thank you so much. I was talking about it in our Voices of Vera Discord, and then Burns typed. He said, "Yeah, I enjoyed that video," and then he posted his video, which was almost the same thing. And I put this on everything. I did not see Burns' video, Ashes of Relation, that is, where he did like an intro, and then you talked on it, and then it was like a outro. Me and Relation did like the same topic about how important lore is. And I had no idea. And so they were like super similar. I was like, dude, I had no idea you did. Like, they were different videos, obviously, but I was like, Cash did not tell me. And it's funny because I reached out to.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. I was like, I didn't. I was like, dude, I put that on everything. I did not see that. But it's crazy cool how we came with the same idea and how we both like reached out to you. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know. I just thought that was funny.
I can pretty much guarantee you that if you come and say you want to do a lore video, that it is not our job to talk you out of it. Okay? It is hard enough to get people to watch lore stuff in the first place.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
man.
like honestly nice. Like there is very little that any of the three of us would say no to doing.
No.
Or try to talk you out of it. Like there is, we're just not going to do it. I mean, unless it's
When I open a tavern, I'll keep that in
raunchy.
mind.
Oh,
Oh, no, you didn't get that part in quick enough. You did not sneak that. You did not get the fine print in there quick enough.
But I was working on the fine print.
I have it. I'm gonna clip it, and then that part's gonna be cut out. You didn't get it in there.
All right, you got it.
Well, everybody who's here at LoreForged Live, watching live, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And everybody's watching on YouTube and podcast apps everywhere. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was LoreForged. And again, make sure you go and check out Nyce Gaming's content that he has. Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Such a good creator, and we're so stoked to have him with us here in the Ashes of Creation space. Let us know what you thought of the show, whether it's a comment or a review on the podcast app. Let us know how we're doing. We sure do appreciate it, and you can always call us 516-875-1776, and you can email us at loreforgedhq@gmail.com. Sonny.
You can go to LoreForged.com and see our link tree to all of the different things that we do, including YouTube. Go to YouTube to see, YouTube stuff. We do YouTube, maybe not quite as good as Nyce, but we do it on Lore.
Do amazing stuff. Amazing stuff.
Thanks,
I
man.
love you guys' stuff.
All of the people that we've had on our show, we love their stuff. There's a reason why people come on our show, and it is because we just have a huge respect for the work that they do. So if you see somebody on our show, we're not just willy-nilly, doing this. Like we have a great appreciation for your stuff. So thank you for coming on, and definitely check out all of the YouTube stuff by all of the content creators. It's on average very, very good. Twitch.tv/LoreForgedHQ is where you can see this early, and you can see all of our other stuff. We're doing some streaming, and every day we get a little bit closer to Q3 when we can stop playing other games and actually play Alpha 2. So we're very excited about that. And finally, Patreon. Patreon is where you can check out all of our stuff early. The podcast gets released early there. YouTube gets released early there. And we also have our State of the Owl, which is our once a month behind the scenes show. And that is exclusively for the patrons. Plus, they get a super secret channel in Discord. Cash.
Very nice. I like the super secret channel. It's actually quite fun. Friends, we have our Discord community has been popping lately, and it's probably because of that AMA. It was very nice of Intrepid to invite us onto that, and has really kind of allowed us to do a little bit of growth, which is kind of cool. We have some new Discord members this week. I want to say a very warm welcome and happy thoughts to Crurian, Chaffee J. Chaffee J, you've been around for months and you just joined our Discord.
What?
He became a patron, I believe. So it kicks you out and brings you back in. I think it's
that's what happened. He has been. It booted him and brought it back in, and you got suckered.
Oh, that was it. Okay, well, welcome back. That's right. I'm like, how could you have not been a member of our Discord? Like, you've been around us forever now. So anyway, thank you, Chaffee. Appreciate you, and you are a very renowned family member. Continuing. Soen, Zaphne, Ashray, and C Square It. Man, some of these names, you guys, can we do like Fred?
Bob the cleric. Cleric Bob and his drinking habit.
Super. And also, just one last thing. I do want to let everybody know that it's probably by the time that this show comes out, this will already be done. But if you're live here, then on Friday night, which is 5/24, May 24th, I will be on the 1v1 podcast for the second time. With Mr. Volhattis. Volhattis. I'm helping everybody spell his name correctly. So anyway, that should be super exciting this coming Friday night. And if you're listening to this on Monday morning or anytime during the week of 5/27, then I'm sure Vladis's video for the 1v1 podcast will be done. You'll be able to watch it.
Awesome. Everybody have a wonderful week in gaming. We love you. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week right here on LoreForged. Take care, everybody.
Peace, love, and honeybees.
Safe travels, adventurers.